Your morning routine might as well be the reason that you're not achieving your dreams. And I swear that this is true. Hello and welcome. It is 1st October, which means a brand new month, but also a brand new quarter. We are officially into Q4 of 2025, which is insane. The year has just flown by. But I wanted to take this chance to tell you 5 things you need to hear to lock in for the rest of the year. And these are 5 things that over the last few months I have heard they've really resonated with me, and I've really been able to incorporate them, and I've noticed a big change in how much work I'm doing and how much I am moving towards my goals. So I'm going to tell you these 5 things, and I'm going to follow them up with actionable steps that you can take in order to achieve them. Because I think a lot of the time I'll watch a video or I'll listen to a podcast episode where they're giving advice, but then I'm like, okay, but how do I implement it? Like, that's where my frustration comes. So I'm going to try my best to address that here as well. So I'm not going to waste a lot of your time. Let's get straight into the first thing. I've got a little notebook here. So number 1, your morning routine might actually be the reason you're not achieving your dreams. For me, this was the biggest game changer. I am a productivity freak. And so I've spent the better part of this year and last year trying to make the perfect morning routine. I've done all the research, watched all the videos, listened to all the podcasts, and I had it down to a T. Everything. I mean, I'm waking up, I'm getting morning sunlight, I'm exercising, I'm eating protein, I'm avoiding caffeine. I had it all down to the scientifically perfect morning routine, which took me 60 to 90 minutes every day. And I woke up early to follow that routine because I thought that this is what is going to set me up for success. But I still wasn't getting a lot done. The day would go by and I would realize I haven't worked towards my goals at all, my personal goals, that is. And that is until I came across the idea of good procrastination and bad procrastination. So a couple of months ago, I read an essay by Paul Graham, who is one of the founders of YC. And he also writes a lot of essays that I love to read because I always find them really insightful. And a couple of months ago, I read an essay he wrote about good procrastination and bad procrastination, in which he says there's 2 types of bad procrastination. The first is when you're just procrastinating, you're doom scrolling, you know you have a list of things to do and you're avoiding doing them. The second is when you are avoiding doing what you need to do, but you're still doing things that are productive. So you kind of fool yourself into thinking that, oh, hey, I'm not procrastinating, when you actually are. And that is what I was doing. Essentially, your morning routine could be a form of bad procrastination. For someone like me who has a full-time job, so I work 9 to 5, sometimes even longer, I don't have 60 to 90 minutes in a day to spare to spend on my morning routine. If I have goals outside of work that I want to achieve, which I do, then I need to be spending all of the time I have outside of work trying to achieve those dreams. And spending an hour a day on a morning routine and then an hour a day on a nighttime routine is just going towards things that I think are setting me up for success, but really I'm wasting time. And this may not be true for everyone. I mean, if you're someone who has a lot of free time, like you've already quit your 9 to 5, maybe you're a content creator full time, then maybe you have time to dedicate to a morning routine, and maybe that's really important to you. But for someone like me who's working at a day job and then wants to devote a couple of hours a day to content, to building my own business, to all of this stuff, I just don't have that time. This is not to say that routines aren't important, but it's to say that you should know what you absolutely need and what you don't need. For example, I know that I'm most productive in the mornings. That's why my evening routine is still an hour long. I will take my time to wind down after a long day because I know I'm not going to be productive at night. But because I know I am productive in the morning, I'm going to spend that energy working instead of following a routine. But that doesn't mean I've gotten rid of my morning routine. It means I have honed it down to what is the bare minimum, what is the basic necessity for me. And for me, that basic necessity is changing out of my pajamas, doing my skincare, and getting some form of movement in. That's it. I'm not spending any time journaling. I'm not doing any of these other unnecessary things that I don't think I absolutely need. Instead, I am devoting all my time to following my goals, which leads me to what Paul Graham talks about as good procrastination. Good procrastination is when you are so busy working towards what you want that you procrastinate other tasks. And some people might think this makes no sense, but this is putting off tasks like, yeah, I know I have to do my laundry, but I can wait another 2 days, so I'm going to wait another 2 days. It's not dire right now. I'm going to focus instead on making this YouTube video. And I think it's really important to know, because a trap that I fell into was when I felt like, oh, I've spent this whole day and I haven't been productive and I haven't filmed that YouTube video or edited that content. To make myself feel better, I would get up and change my bed sheets. And I'd be like, oh, well, now I was productive. But really, that's bad procrastination. And what you want is good procrastination. So that is the first thing that really helped me lock in. And the way that you can put this into action is by doing a simple time analysis and seeing how much of your time you're spending doing that bad procrastination. And if you have an unnecessarily long routine, cut it down. You don't need an excessive morning routine and an excessive evening routine. One is enough. The second thing that you need to hear is that your brain will always want you to not follow your dreams. I feel like we hear this a lot floating in the productivity space, but you really need to sit with and register the idea that your brain is never going to want you to achieve your dreams. And this is something that really stuck with me, because for years I've been dreaming of my dream life, what I want to achieve, what I want to get, but I never do anything. And it was so frustrating because I was caught in such a limbo, because why is it that I want something so bad, but I'm not doing it? And it took a while for me to really realize it's because my brain will never want to do it. Our brains will always choose what is comfortable. Our brains are wired for survival. They're wired to stay in our comfort zone. They are never going to want to be uncomfortable. And chasing your dreams is always going to be uncomfortable. And so I think the sooner you register that, the sooner you realize that uncomfort means you're doing something right, the sooner you will spring into action. I used to be the person who, when I was editing a YouTube video, I would feel so uncomfortable. I would avoid it. I would have an impulse to kind of shove my laptop away because I don't want to watch this. I don't want to see myself. And I would take that to mean a sign of, listen to your body. Your body will tell you when you're uncomfortable. And while that is true for a lot of things, especially social settings, especially doing things that maybe are not good for you, it is also true that your body will be uncomfortable when you're doing something new. So when I let this concept really register, it meant that every time I was uncomfortable, I was able to tell myself, this means I'm doing the right thing. Because chasing your dreams is always going to be new, it's always going to be scary, and it is always going to put your brain into survival mode, where it will say, let's just go to bed and let's just scroll on TikTok, because that is comfortable and that is safe and that is what we know. But you need to know that honestly, when it comes to chasing your dreams, your brain is your enemy and you have to fight against it. And the sooner you know that, the better. And the way that I put this into action is that every time I am uncomfortable, I tell myself I am doing something right. And maybe this seems like a stupid actionable step, but honestly, it really works. The first few times I started talking to myself like this, I felt stupid. But now, after weeks and months of doing it, it's almost become like a subconscious process where I don't feel the need to turn away from doing something that I know I need to do. And that also ties into number 3, which is that perseverance will always lead to success. And this is something I have really noticed, which is that you need to be doing something every day. That doesn't mean you need to time box an hour a day to follow your dreams. A lot of us have full-time jobs, or we're in school or university and we're pursuing a lot of stuff. You definitely don't need to spend an hour every day or 2 hours every day chasing your dreams. But 10 minutes a day is going to do way more than 1 hour a week or 2 hours a week or 1 day a week. I meet a lot of people and I talk to a lot of people in my day-to-day life, and those that are successful are those that do something every day. And honestly, one of the reasons why is because when you do something every day, it's exposure therapy. You're getting used to the fact that this is becoming part of my daily life. You're getting used to that discomfort I just talked about. Versus if you spend Monday to Saturday just going about your daily life, and on Sunday you're like, yeah, today I'm going to study all day, or today I'm going to edit all my content. That is harder to get used to for your body and your mind than if you were doing that for 10 minutes every day. And it's literally just exposure therapy. The more often you expose yourself to something that makes you uncomfortable, the quicker you'll get comfortable with it. And so perseverance always leads to success. And the easiest way to put this into action is literally start with 10 minutes a day. Block away 10 minutes in your calendar that for 10 minutes today, I'm going to edit that YouTube video. Or for 10 minutes today, I'm going to memorize one thing from my curriculum. I really put this into action with dance. So I love dancing and I'm really trying hard to become a better dancer, but it's something that scares me and I find myself procrastinating and putting off practicing. And so I now time box 10 minutes a day just to go through maybe one section of a dance. And 100% after those 10 minutes, you're not going to feel like you've achieved a lot. And that's not the point. The point here is not to spend 10 minutes a day to achieve XYZ. The point is just that we're building up to making this a habit. We're building up to incorporating this in our daily life. And that will lead to success way more than spending a day a week doing something. I'm going to take a bit of a pause here before I move on to the last two steps, just to give a little intro to me. My name is Shanse. I am currently living in London. I work as a marketing lead at a startup, so my whole career has been early stage marketing, and I enjoy that quite a bit. But I've also always been creative, so I've worked as a professional photographer. I take up dance. I'm training to be a Pilates instructor. There's a lot of stuff. I have a lot of hobbies and a lot of stuff I like to do. But I started this YouTube channel to kind of make vlogs and have it be a creative outlet. This is my first video that is of a different format. It's mostly because I yap about this stuff to my friends, and they always encourage me to post about it because they love hearing this stuff. They say it helps them, and I'm hopeful that maybe it will help someone else. So if this is helpful for you, please leave a comment below. Let me know which of these 5 things you will incorporate, and maybe even subscribe. I would love to see more of you guys. Okay, on to number 4. This one for me has been the most life-changing, and that is learning how to be bored. I've been seeing this concept of a dopamine reset forever on social media, and I think I've tried a few things and it's never really worked until a few weeks ago when I read about the importance of being bored and things again clicked for me. I realized that my attention span has gone down to basically 0. I've gone to the point where I have to speed up TikTok videos and Instagram reels because I can't watch them at normal speed. I can't sit through a single episode of a TV show without getting bored, and movies are just like out of the question. Like watching a movie without checking my phone is nearly impossible, and that really bothered me because I just don't want to not even have the attention span to watch a movie. I really want to have the ability to be present in the moment. So it was the lack of attention span. And the second thing was I constantly felt overwhelmed. I constantly felt like there's so much going on in my brain. My brain is not shutting up. It is like there's just constant thoughts. And obviously that meant that I was just like always on. And it was exhausting until I came across the importance of being bored and how we need to learn how to be bored, because it's only when we're bored that we can actually think about other things. I know a lot of people, me included, constantly have a YouTube video on or a TV show on or something on in the background because we're not used to silence, because we don't want there to be an opportunity for intrusive thoughts to come in and for us to start thinking about things we don't want to think about. And I have been living like that for years. In fact, I used to go to sleep with a podcast on or a TV episode on. Something had to be playing. I just could not be in complete silence. And it was the realization that this is so unhealthy for me, and I'm struggling to feel calm. I'm constantly feeling overwhelmed because I'm constantly overloading my nervous system with all of this input. And so it was learning how to be bored and realizing that boredom is not a bad thing that really has now helped me be a bit calmer. I still have a long way to go, but now I feel a bit more relaxed, a bit less on edge, and I've noticed a huge difference from reducing the amount of sensory input I am getting. And so the 4th thing that I would really suggest if you want to lock in for the rest of the year is to learn how to be bored, and is to stop thinking of boredom as a bad thing. And it can be very small things. Like honestly, start with very small actionable steps. One thing that I started with that I would highly recommend is not listening to music or not taking my phone out when I'm going to the grocery store. So I'm fortunate enough that the grocery store for me is like a 3 to 4 minute walk away, and in that very walk I would be using my phone or I would be listening to music. And so the first thing I did was, just for that walk I will not use my phone. So it's very small steps like this that slowly build up your tolerance to being bored, and they build up your tolerance for discomfort that then helps with all of the other things I've mentioned. So it helps you follow your dreams, which is inherently an uncomfortable process. It helps you persevere every day and do things that make you uncomfortable because you are building up your tolerance to discomfort. The more time you spend looking at screens, the more time you spend distracting yourself, the lower your attention span and the lower your tolerance to discomfort. That means you will get uncomfortable very very quickly. And again, it leads to your brain going into survival mode, and then you will fall back to what you think are safe things. So doom scrolling, spending your time in bed, like not doing anything productive. So all of these things are interconnected. And I think this one has been the biggest game changer for me, which is just learning how to be bored and knowing that being bored is actually a good thing. And it is in those moments of silence now that I kind of come up with ideas, and I came up with the idea for this video and for my next one. The best way to do that is come up with 3 things where you can take away your phone. So for me, it was walking to the grocery store, walking to the tube station, and replacing listening to music on the tube with reading a book. It's only these 3 things. I still have a long way to go. So I still can't go to sleep without a podcast on. But just doing these small things, I've noticed such a big difference. As has gone with everything else I've talked about, just being aware of this is such a game changer, because being aware of the fact that I am trying to run away from silence, or I'm trying to run away from boredom, has allowed me to actually be comfortable with boredom. Okay, the last thing, number 5, and I will talk about this more in my next video, which is plan Q4 with me. But for me, number 5 has been do not fall victim to productivity hacks. I am someone who has come out of this huge, I want to say, bubble of productivity gurus and how to be so productive and how to set yourself up for success. And honestly, it drove me a bit crazy. We are living in a time of overconsumption. I mean, this is also you consuming content. I know I am contributing to the crazy amount of content that you can consume. But one thing that I would always say to be wary of is what works for you and what you think should work for you. I know that we have so many productivity gurus telling us that, you know, this is the way that we plan, and this is the template we use, and this is the process we use. And that works for them, and that is great. But just because it works for somebody doesn't mean it has to work for you. The point that I'm trying to make here is learn what helps you be the most productive. I have bought so many Notion templates for to-do lists, for weekly planners, for yearly planners, for goal planning, and I was still so overwhelmed. I was still all over the place. Nothing worked. I constantly felt like I was falling behind until a few months ago when I just went back to this. I literally just went back to pen and paper, and I will never look back, because I realized that that is what works for me. So there are 2 things that I use to plan everything out. It is my little notebook, and this is where I will write my big goals. Any ideas that I have, this notebook is always on me. I will always write them here. And the second thing is a weekly desk planner. I love this one from Intelligent Change. It is so amazing. I just write down my to-do for the week every Monday, and then every day I will make a small to-do list for that day, and it sits on my desk right where I can see it. Like every moment of the day when I'm in my room, I can see that to-do list, and that is it. There's no clutter in my brain. There's no stress or anxiety that I need to update my Notion, that I need to do this, that I need to do that. I mean, I at one point had my morning routine in my Notion. I had my evening routine in my Notion. I had a daily routine. I had a weekly routine. I had a monthly routine. I was driving myself crazy. If it works for you, that is great. But I'm just here to say that just because it's working for other people, just because you will have a plethora of YouTube videos telling you this is the right way to do things, doesn't mean that it is. I have achieved more using pen and paper for the last few weeks than I have using Notion or any other software in the last few years. I'm not trying to talk bad about Notion. I actually love Notion, and I still use Notion for note taking, and I use it at work. But for like a simple to-do list, what works best for me is just pen and paper. And if it works for you, that's it. You don't need anything else. And honestly, this again ties back to my first point, which is it's a form of bad procrastination if it's not working for you. If you're spending an hour a day on a template, on an Excel sheet, Google sheet, wherever, trying to like update stuff and keep track of like, this is how productive I was today, you're actually just wasting time. That's a good 30 minutes you could have spent editing your YouTube video. So honestly, figure out what works for you while wasting the least amount of time. Those are the 5 things I really wanted you to hear, and I hope that they're helpful. I know this was a lot of me yapping, but these are 5 things that have genuinely changed my life. This is also the first time I've made a video like this, like I said. So if you've got got any comments on how I can improve, what you would want to hear, what I can do better, leave them down below and let me know which of these 5 really resonated with you. And if you've got any that changed your life, let me know, because I'm always looking for ways to improve and for ways to be better and for ways to do better. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Next week, I'm going to talk about how I am planning my Q4 and the exact goals that I have, the steps I'm going to take. I'm super excited for that. If there's anything else you want to drop a comment below, I'm happy to chat about it. And hopefully I will see you guys next time.